Hi, greetings, fellow ghosts and fellow ghosts and goblins. Well, our look at the Evil Dead series now continues on with the final film in the original Evil Dead trilogy, Army of Darkness. Having been accidentally transported to the Middle Ages, as depicted in the closing sequence of Evil Dead 2, Ash Williams is captured by Lord Arthur's men, who suspect him of being an agent for Duke Henry, with whom Arthur is at war. He is enslaved along with captured Henry. His shotgun and chains are confiscated, and he is taken to a castle. Ash is thrown in a pit where he kills a deadite and regains his weapons from Arthur's wise man. After demanding that Henry and his men be set free, as he knew it was a witch hunt, and killing a deadite publicly, Ash is celebrated as a hero. He grows attracted to Sheila, the sister of one of Arthur's fallen knights. According to the wise man, the only way that Ash can return to his time is through the magical Necronomicon Ex Mortis. Ash then starts to search for the Necronomicon. As he enters a haunted forest, an unseen force pursues Ash into a windmill, and he crashes into a mirror. Small fragments of Ash in the mirror shards come to life, one becoming a life-size clone, after which Ash kills and buries it. When he arrives at the Necronomicon's location, he finds 3 books instead of 1, and has to determine which one is real. Realizing at the last moment that he has forgotten the last word of the phrase that will allow him to remove the book safely, Clock tu barada nicto, he tries to mumble and cough his way through the pronunciation. He grabs the book and begins rushing back. Meanwhile, unknown to Ash, his ruse has failed and the deadite captain resurrect, uniting into the Army of Darkness. Upon his return, Ash demands to be returned to his own time. However, Sheila is abducted by a flying deadite and later transformed into one. Ash becomes determined to lead the humans against the army, and the people reluctantly agree. Using knowledge from textbooks in his 1973 Oldsmobile Delta 88 and lives in help of Duke Henry, Ash successfully leads the medieval soldiers to victory over the deadites and their captain, saves Sheila, and brings peace between Arthur and Henry. Using a passage from the Necronomicon, the wise man tells him how to return to the present by giving him a potion after reciting the same phrase as earlier in the film, Cloud tu barada nicto. Back in the present, Ash recounts his story to a fellow employee at an S-Mart department store. As he talks to his girlfriend who is interested in his story, the surviving deadite, allowed to come to the present because Ash again forgot the last word, attacks the customers. Ash kills it using Winchester rifle from the sporting goods department and exclaims, "Hail to the king, baby," before passionately kissing his girlfriend. Ooh. Now, before going further, let's take a look at the original ending. For the film's original ending, using a passage from the Necronomicon, the wise man tells Ash to swallow 6 drops of the potion to return to the present. Unfortunately, due to distraction by falling rocks, Ash miscalculates the amount of potion needed to correctly return to his own time, swallowing 7 instead of 6. As a result, he wakes up in a post-apocalyptic future where human civilization is destroyed, and he screams in dismay at having overslept. Universal Pictures objected to this climax, feeling that it was too negative and depressing in tone, and so a more positive and optimistic ending was filmed and ultimately incorporated into the theatrical cut. Yeah, that was probably a good idea. So let's take a look at the production of this movie, beginning with the development. Plans to make a 3rd Evil Dead film have been circulating for a number of years, even prior to the production of Darkman. Evil Dead 2 made enough money internationally that Dino De Laurentiis was willing to finance a sequel. Director and scriptwriter Sam Raimi drew from a variety of sources, including literature with a Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court and Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels, films like The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, Jason and the Argonauts, The Three Stooges, and Conan the Barbarian. Evil Dead 2, according to Bruce Campbell, quote, was originally designed to go back into the past to 1300, but we couldn't muster it at the time, so we decided to make an interim version, not knowing if the 1300 story would ever get made. Promotional drawings were created and published in Variety during the casting process before the budget was deemed too little for the plot. The working title for the project was Medieval Dead, before it was later known as Evil Dead 3, Army of Darkness. The title Army of Darkness came from an idea by Irvin Shapiro during the production of Evil Dead 2. And now, on to the writing. Initially, Raimi invited Scott Spiegel to co-write Army of Darkness because he had done a good job on Evil Dead 2, but he was busy on rewrites for the Clint Eastwood film The Rookie. After the good experience of writing a screenplay for a film called Easy Wheels, Sam and his brother Ivan decided to co-write the film together. They worked on the script throughout the pre-production and production of Darkman. After filming Darkman, they took the script out and worked on it in more detail. Raimi says that Ivan, quote, has a good sense of character, and that he brought more comedy into the script. Campbell remembers, quote, we all decided, get him out of the cabin. There were earlier drafts where Part 3 still took place there, but we thought, well, we all know that cabin, it's time to move on. The three of us decided to keep it in 1300 because it's more interesting. Campbell and Tapper would read the script drafts, give Raimi their notes, and he would decide which suggestions to keep and which ones to discard. And now, let's take a look at the pre-production. The initial budget was $8 million, but during pre-production, it became obvious that this was not going to be enough. Darkman was also a financial success, and De Laurentiis had a multi-picture deal with Universal, and so Army of Darkness became one of the films. The studio decided to contribute half of the film's $12 million budget. However, the film's ambitious scope and its extensive effects work forced Campbell, Raimi, and producer Robert Tapper to put up $1 million of their collective salaries to shoot a new ending and not film a scene where a possessed woman pushes down some giant pillars. Visual effects supervisor William Mesa showed Raimi storyboards he had from Victor Fleming's film Joan of Arc that depicted huge battle scenes, and he picked out 25 shots to use in Army of Darkness. A storyboard artist worked closely with the director in order to blend the shots from the Joan of Arc storyboards with the battle scenes in the film. Tracy Lords was among the actresses auditioning for the film, saying in 2001, quote, I didn't get the part, but I clicked with Bruce Campbell, with whom she would later work as a guest star in the TV series Hercules: Legendary Journeys. And now onto the filming. Principal photography took place between soundstage and on-location work. Army of Darkness was filmed in Bronson Canyon and Vasquez Rocks National Area Park. The interior shots were filmed on an Introvision stage in Hollywood. Raimi's use of the Introvision process was a tribute to the stop-motion animation work of Ray Harryhausen. Introvision uses front-projected images with live actors instead of the traditional rear projection that Harryhausen and others used. Introvision blended components with more realistic-looking results. To achieve this effect, Raimi used 60-foot-tall Scotch-Light front projection screens, miniatures, and background plates. According to the director, the advantage of using this technique was, quote, the incredible amount of interaction between the background, which doesn't exist, and the foreground, which is usually your character. Shooting began in mid-1991 and it lasted for about 100 days. It was a midsummer shoot and one location, a huge castle set that was built near Acton, California, on the edge of the Mojave Desert. The cast and crew endured very hot conditions during the day and very cold temperatures at night. Most of the film took place at night, and the filmmakers shot most of the film during the summer when the days were longest and the nights were the shortest. It would take an hour and a half to light an area, leaving the filmmakers only 6 hours left to shoot a scene. Money problems forced cinematographer Bill Pope to shoot only for certain hours, Monday through Friday, because he could not be paid a standard fee. Mesa shot many of the action sequences on the weekend. It was a difficult shoot for Campbell, who had to learn elaborate choreography for the battle scenes, which involved him remembering a number system because the actor was often fighting opponents that were not really there. Mesa remembers, quote, Bruce was cussing and swearing some of the time because he had to work on the number system. Sam would tell us to make it as complicated and hard for Bruce as possible, make him go through torture. So we come up with these shots that were really, really difficult. Sometimes they would take 37 takes. Some scenes, like Evil Ash walking along the graveyard while skeleton minions come to life, blended stop-motion animation with live-action skeleton puppets that were mechanically rigged, with prosthetics and visual effects. And now finally, the post-production. While Dino De Laurentiis gave Raimi and his crew freedom to shoot the film the way they wanted, Universal took over during post-production. Universal wasn't happy with Raimi's cut because it did not like his original ending, feeling it was negative. In this ending, the potion Ash is given causes him to oversleep, and when he wakes up, he is in a futuristic, post-apocalyptic wasteland. A more upbeat ending was shot a month later in a lumber store in Malibu, California. Then, 2 months after principal filming was finished, A round of reshoots began in Santa Monica and involved Ash in the windmill and the scenes with Bridget Fonda. Raymond calls, quote, "Actually, I kind of like the fact that there are two endings. That one alternate universe Bruce is screwed, and another he's some cheesy hero." Raimi needed $3 million to finish his film, but Universal was not willing to give him the money and delayed its release due to a dispute with De Laurentiis over the rights to the Hannibal Lecter character, which Universal needed so that they could film a sequel to Silence of the Lambs. The matter was finally resolved, but the release date for Army of Darknesses was pushed back from September 1992 to February 1993. For the film's poster, Universal brought Campbell in to take several reference headshots and asked him to strike a sly look on his face. They showed him a rough of the Frank Frazetta-like painting. The actor had a day to approve it, or, as he was told, there would be no ad campaign for the film. Raimi ran into further troubles with the Motion Picture Association of America gave it an NC-17 rating for a shot of a female deadite being killed early on in the film. Universal wanted a PG-13 rating, so Raimi made a few cuts and was still stuck with an R rating. In response, Universal turned the film over to outside film editors who cut the film to 81 minutes, and another version running 87 minutes that was eventually released in theaters, still with an R rating. So overall, I think that this movie is really good, and it's definitely my personal favorite film in the series, so yeah. So overall, I give Army of Darkness 5 Necronomicons out of 5. Well, anyway, tomorrow, as Horror Bump 2021 concludes with 2013's Evil Dead. So, until then, hail to the king, baby.